Hello and welcome back to the guest room with your host, Dr. D. I am so excited that you all decided to come in and make your reservation. And guess what? Your reservation is now confirmed. The guest room is a platform for our guests to be able to connect with people who are shaping the world through meaningful, engaging, and sometimes entertaining conversations. We are here on the guest room. We're authentic, but I tell you what, before you leave, you will be energized and informed. So again, I am so excited that you all decided to stop by. But before you leave, I need you to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you tell someone that we're on. Again, I am Dr. D with the guest room. So now we will have our guests here, Drew Andrews. And Drew is a dear friend. And Drew has a plethora of what he does in the community as well as in his everyday living, and his background is so robust. So we're going to get started with Drew, and here we go. Hey, Drew, thanks, man, for being here.
Thanks
I am
for inviting
excited.
me.
Thank you for just obliging me. I know you could be doing some things, but he stopped by the guest room to talk to us. So tell our guests, there's two things I want you to tell our guests
Sure.
before we start. How did we meet?
Well, we met on a campaign trail.
Okay.
2016. You were running for school board, and I was running for state rep, and we were putting out signs, attending forums, doing everything that a good person who's running for office, a good candidate, is supposed to be doing.
Okay.
And that's how we connected.
Okay. And then before we even get into it, what else do we have in common?
Well,
What we part of? What we part of?
CASA?
The D9?
Oh, well, I'm a Q, and she is an AKA.
Of course, an AKA.
Yeah.
So we have that in common.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
main
right.
thing. Okay.
That's
And then we have CASA. We'll get into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, Drew, that being said, thank you so much again for just coming out. But, aside from that, I want you to tell our guests a little bit about who you are. Introduce yourself to our guest.
Sure. I am a retired veteran who served honorably in the Army for 21 years. Actually, I've been serving my adult life. So after serving our country, I moved to Clayton County to serve my community. And since then, I've been privileged to be a part of many organizations, one including the Urban League of Greater Atlanta, the Police Alternative Diversion Initiative that's also in Atlanta, our CASA,
Okay.
Friends of CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocate, working with our children
Yeah.
in foster care. And then I'm currently the vice chair of the Development Authority of Clayton County. So in each role, I've made sure that I've been able to do something for the community.
Right.
I believe that whenever we're elevated into a position, we still need to pour in to our community
Right.
and remain connected.
And this is what this particular episode is about today. It's about community. And Drew is definitely about community. And also, Drew has some other hidden gems about himself, but really about the community. And you listen to all the different organizations that he's a part of, but it all stem back to service and how you give back to the community. And prior to us rolling with the camera here, Drew and I had conversations where you get to a point where you just said, okay, I've had enough. It's time for me now to step in and help make a difference, to change our world around in our community for the good. And so I commend you for all of those organizations that you serve on, because it does serve a purpose. Now, I want us to be able to know, what has your journey been? You said you were in the military, and so you honorably served for 21 years.
Yes.
And so I want you to be able to tell our guest, because it all ties up into the community, how has your journey been from the military to becoming the advocate and activist that you are? Walk us through your journey.
Okay. Well, let's start with the military.
Okay.
In the military, I've always been privileged to be a part of humanitarian missions across the globe, helping to build communities and hospitals, because I was a nurse in the Army.
Okay.
In fact, I taught the Army's practical nurse program. So I've always been a person who's been compassionate and care about the community that I'm a part of. And so after transitioning from the military, I start to look at what can I do for the community that I now belong to. And it was just simply, walking the neighborhoods, uh, getting to know people. And that's what it's all about. We got to
Yeah.
reconnect
Yeah.
to one another. We have to get engaged with one another. We have to reinstitute that neighborly gesture of, saying good morning to one another as we pass. You know, that's where I see we are drifting from. And that's why we as individuals seem to be so disconnected.
Right.
And so that's what I'm trying to, put back into the community.
So I heard the word reconnect and engage.
Yes.
And like you said, at the end, you said disconnect.
Yeah.
And
There's
so,
a serious disconnect.
when we were growing up, everybody spoke to everybody in the neighborhood, whether you were down the street in the community, people spoke,
Yeah,
And
got
it
slapped in the back of the head when you didn't.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was part of like mannerism.
Yes.
That was part of what it was instituted within Drew and our day. And so we look at that. So the military is where you started your adult service because, like you said, it was already instilled in you as a child,
Yes.
But in your adult life, being in the military over that journey of time, now it has transpired to now you're doing greater things and greater initiatives with other organizations. So your journey has been service,
Yes.
service,
Yes.
And so here it is now. A little birdie told me, you didn't mention this when you introduced yourself, but a little birdie told me after my research that you're also part of a newly developed organization. Is that called C3 in Action?
Oh, yes.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that. And where did
Yeah,
it come from?
It's Clayton County Community. Clayton County Cares
Okay.
in Action.
Okay.
And it derived from just this past December.
Okay.
If you recall, it was the coldest days in 5 years over Christmas.
Right.
And everyone's talking about bringing in their pets and their plants, but no one said anything in Clayton County about bringing in those who were unsheltered. And these are members of our community. So me being a man of action that I am, that didn't sit right with me. So what I did was leverage my relationship with my District 5 school board member, Dr. D. Haney. Said, look, this is the situation. It's cold outside. We have people living outside and have no place for them to go. What can I do?
Right.
And you were saying, you know what? There is a place. Matter of fact, you need to get in contact with our board chair, which I did, Ms. Jessie Goree. And thank you for that.
No problem.
And what happened is because our children were home for winter break, the schools were empty. And so the school board opened up a middle school in Clayton County. So those who were unsheltered outside have a safe and warm place to be. And the school system did not put them out as some shelters do in the morning where you must leave. They were allowed to stay there. Originally, we planned for 3 days, but then there was an extended period.
Time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they were there for 5 days.
Wow.
They were safe because the school system had called back many of their RSOs, resource officers, and they were there.
Right.
24/7,
Amazing.
engaging.
That word.
Engaging
Right.
with those experiencing homelessness. And once there, I called on some other friends.
Right.
It's good to have a pocket full of friends.
Yeah, and relationship building. Yeah.
So I had some friends in the space of stable housing.
Right.
So what I did, I called them, let them know that we had some people, members of our community, who were unhoused.
Yeah.
They placed them in extended stay, not for a week, not for a month.
Wow.
4 months.
Wow.
They paid for them to stay in extended stay for up to 4 months. And then I called another friend, another organization. Well, I'm part of Invest Clayton.
Yeah.
And so Invest Clayton is the same as the Development Authority. And so we have a relationship with small businesses and corporations. So we're able to connect people to jobs.
Right.
So we were able to
Wow.
connect many of those who was on the street now have a warm, safe place for 4 months, extended stay, and connected to jobs.
And so that's how C3 came about, with those
Yes.
developing those relationships, reconnecting with those, and then leveraging the relationships that you said, like a pocket full. What you said, a pocket full of friends. It's good to have
Yeah.
a pocket full of friends.
Yeah.
And he's taught me that, D, you have to leverage your relationships. You have
Yes.
to sustain those relationships, because I can get a little like, oh, I'm scared to talk to him, or I'm not scared, but just like, I don't know, Drew.
You
But at the
timid.
same time,
Sometimes you
yeah,
can be
sometimes, and I'm
timid,
just like,
yeah.
okay, but it's good to have that friend who pushes you to say, hey, D, go out there, you can do it. Leverage that relationship and remember your why. And so that's what I'm so happy to hear about what you're doing with C3 in action, and how it came about. And then you also, and I've learned, and just knowing who you are, you've also worked with organizations in the greater metro area for those who are experiencing homelessness. And so I also heard too, and did my research, and knowing you, you have a deep level of concern for mental health.
Yes.
Now, did that arrive from just being in the military, or did that derive from just your scope of the medical field? How did that come about with your concern for mental health? Because if you look at it, mental health and those experiencing homelessness, which you taught me how to say, they go hand in hand almost.
Yes.
So can you just talk about that and give us some information on that journey on that as well?
Sure. Mental health, being in the military, I realized that there was many of us suffering with mental health issues in the military. And it was the level of stress that we endure. And we're supposedly conditioned but there's no conditioning that prepare you for what you will see or experience. And so my going through the military and understanding that mental health is real, and you see that in the statistics regarding suicide among those who have served. But it wasn't until COVID, when the world stood still,
Yeah.
and during this pause, people start self-reflecting, doing an inventory of their
Yep.
skills and their talents,
Absolutely.
and then realize, hey, life is so important to me that I want to change the direction in which I've been going. Meaning, they're not going back to corporate America.
No.
They start investing in themselves and starting their own businesses, starting to follow their dream.
Yes. Hello.
And so that's what COVID did
Yeah.
for many. But it also revealed the mental health
Yeah.
issue, because it seems we like to connect with one another. That's what we do in society.
Yeah.
And when there's that connectivity missing, you go into a depression.
Yeah.
And the whole world was in a state of depression. And that's when it started bubbling up. People like, hey, I have mental health issues. And this is Drew, I think we all have
Oh, yeah,
mental health
we do.
issues. I think it's suppressed within us. And then there's something that triggers us that brings it up and release. But what we need to do is learn how to deal with that and not be ashamed, not be embarrassed to admit I have mental health issues. Lord knows I do.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting you to agree, but
No, but I'm
saying-
just saying, yeah, in response to that, you have to get to that
Yes.
point of admitting
Yes.
that you do. You
Yes.
know, yeah, you a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puff sometimes. Yeah, y'all, this is friendship here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, getting to that point where you had mentioned when we were off camera, how people and how we as a society, how we as a black people, our culture has been taught, hold it in, suppress it, deal with it.
Yes.
You know,
And we put it in that closet and we don't
Right.
discuss it.
right.
And that's what we need to stop doing. We need to be that generation that breaks it.
Yeah.
And say, this is what's concerning me. This is what bothers me.
Right.
And let's talk about it.
Talk about it.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
talk about
discuss it. And when we discuss it, we don't argue. We actively listen. We do not talk while the other is speaking. Just listen, And I think that dialogue would help also.
Yeah.
And then I'm not opposed to professional help. We have to be able to, and oh Lord, that goes to healthcare. We should be able to afford to get health care, especially preventative health
Preventative.
care.
That's right. That's
Preventative
right.
health care. It shouldn't cost us copay to have to ask for help.
Ask for help. Yeah.
I mean, just asking for help going to cost you $50. That's before they see you.
Right.
It shouldn't be that way. And that's not the country that I served and sacrificed so much for. And that's what I'm working to change. And that's what we will change.
Wow, did you hear that? That was a lot. That was a lot to unpack. And so just hearing that from Drew, it really brings a new awareness. And so, guys, we'll be right back after the break. Hello, everyone. It's Dr. D again, and I am so excited to be back before you. I wanted to let you know I have another book. I've written another book, and it's called It's Time to Own Your Truth. This is a 31-day motivational book for you all to read to carry you throughout your day. Now, you may be asking, Dr. D, how did this book come about? It came about after a supervisor told me to be intentional about what I want to do as of my career, and also intentional about what I want to do with my life. Now, I knew what I wanted to do about my life, but about my career, he said, you have to make the move to be able to do what you have to do, D. And so this book came as a result of that, but it also came as a result of me sitting in a coaching class. I was in a training class, and so therefore the title came to me. It's time to own your truth as of your calling, your purpose, D, and what's driving you to do what you do best. And so here it is. It came about in a 31-day motivational book of 31 chapters for each day of the week for you to be able to engross and get in deep detail with who you are. So again, purchase this book. It's time to own your truth, and you can purchase this book on Amazon.com. I look forward to you all supporting and purchasing. And again, Amazon.com. It's time to own your truth. Talk soon. And welcome back to the guest room with your host, Dr. D. Again, we have our friend here, Drew Andrews, who's not only just involved with community and just doing great works with our community, he also has a consulting business where he does a lot of work there, and I'm going to get him to talk about that. And then we're going to move into another phase of his journey as he talks with our guest here. So, Drew, you are a consultant. And tell our guests about the consulting world, because I know it involves the community as well. But tell us about your consulting business.
Well, consulting, I got into this because my friends, like you,
Well, okay.
was saying, hey, you're doing a lot in community, volunteering your skills and your talent. How come you don't have a business?
Right.
And I was thinking, like, wow. I never thought of it. It's because when you follow your passion, that's your focus.
Yeah.
And you don't think about leveraging that into some type of, salary or, things like that. And so it takes friends like you who remind people, say, hey, you can get paid for doing this.
Right.
So, yeah, then I created my consulting business, and I've been fortunate enough to help, especially I think kicked it off with 2020 with the census.
Yeah. Yeah, that was deep.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time because if you can remember, we had a different administration.
Yeah.
And this strange administration first had the question, are you a resident? They wanted to have that question on there. It was caught up in court system. So finally, it was not asked. But then we ran into COVID.
Yeah.
And like I said, the whole world paused.
Right.
And so I had to get creative in ways to get people to partake in the census because, as you know, dollars are attached to the census.
To the census, it is.
Right. And so if our community is to develop and evolve, we need money.
Yeah.
And so I got in a. This is before we was out of the mask.
Yeah.
And I think the hand sanitation.
Yeah.
Well, I was in a mops
Hazmat.
a hazmat suit. You know.
Yeah.
Getting people to sign up.
Yeah.
But you know, but that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You have to be creative.
Yeah, you do.
You know, but yeah, we was able to get those numbers up and get
Wow.
money for the community.
And you've had clients over in the metro area, but also you had a client in the southern part of southern parts of Georgia. You had a client down there.
Oh,
who was,
the political.
yeah, political
Yes,
as part
yes,
of your
I do.
consulting business. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that consulting business as well because I think it's important that we get the right people in office because we have a credibility problem. Like I was sharing with you off camera, people have lost faith in our politics.
Speak on that. Speak on that.
Like I was sharing with you, people see politicians as liars, and they feel like they've been let down by them so often, so many times, to the point where it's like a jilted lover. They're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Right.
And so those who are developing the courage to run is meeting that
Yes.
head on. And so what it takes is you winning back the credibility. And matter of fact, I'm running for office.
Okay.
State rep,
Okay.
District 75, Jonesboro, Riverdale, Monroe, and Lovejoy. Drew Andrews, vote for me.
Okay.
But what I'm finding is I'm having to tell people I'm not a politician.
Right.
I'm an advocate.
So how would you help them to identify or differentiate the two? Because they're going to look at you coming on, knocking on the door and saying, hey, vote for me. But then you say an advocate. And then they say, no, you're a politician. So how do you help those who are trying to maneuver through that space of, I don't want to vote because you're a politician? How do you help them differentiate that?
For me, a politician tells you what they're going to do once they're in office.
Okay.
You know, as an advocate, I can tell you what I've done already.
Okay.
And why I'm worthy
Okay.
of being in office.
Okay.
And like this one particular gentleman yesterday knocked on his door and said, hey, I don't like politicians. I'm a felon. I don't vote. I don't want to get involved. And that's when I said, peace, brother. You know, peace. First of all, I'm not a politician. Like I said, politicians lie to you and let you down. And obviously, there's been someone who let you down. I'm an
Right.
advocate
Right.
who speak up and fight for you. And in fact, I work in the space of justice reform
Okay.
and police accountability. So I've helped
Wow.
many people get their record expunged.
Okay.
In fact, once I'm state legislator, I want to create some legislation where people who have committed a crime, let's say in the 90s, all the way in the 90s, but it's still on your on your record. And so I think it should be akin to like our credit report. If you file for bankruptcy, you know that
should be-
rolls off
it rolls
in
off.
7 to 10 years if you had no other financial hiccup.
Right.
Why can't that be the same?
Right. Right.
You know? So
Right.
that's why it's as an advocate, I will fight for you.
Right.
And that's why we need to get more advocates into office.
Okay.
Ones that we know we can trust and
Right.
have credibility.
Right.
And one that we continue to hold accountable.
Accountable.
And see, advocates are transparent.
Yeah.
You know? So you can trust me in front of the camera and you can trust me when the camera's off. I'm the same way. So that's what we need to get back to.
I believe that is really true. And I really wholeheartedly believe in that. And I wanted to ask you, with that being said, Drew, what would be your core philosophy? what would be your core philosophy that's based on Drew Andrews? What would be your core philosophy to tell our guests? What's your
Wow, that's
core?
so deep. Oh, well, right now, on top of mind, with this the voting and everything, there's a lot going on in Clayton County. So my philosophy is if you want change, you have to change.
Yeah,
You,
starts within.
yes, and and you can't be afraid. You can't complain about anything you had made an effort to change it.
Right.
So one, I want us to stop being afraid. At what point, and Fannie Lou Hamer is famous for this, at what point do you become sick and tired of being sick and tired? And see, we are a culture of people where we just don't submit. We go down swinging. When there's obstacles placed in front of us, we take a step back, a moment to think, how are we going to overcome
Overcome.
that obstacle?
Yeah.
Not how we going to give up.
Right.
We're not a culture of people who just give up.
Right.
And I'm not going to allow us to adopt that mentality. We go down swinging.
Okay. Go down swinging. All right. So let me ask you this question, Drew. Being a black man in America, okay, and you have a son, and you've taught him, but yourself, you being a black man in America, what are some of the challenges that you have faced as a black man? What are some of the challenges? Just share with our guests your challenges.
Well, I come from a generation where you want to be treated as a man.
Right.
Uh, just a generation before mine, they were not treated as men.
No.
In fact, they were called boys. You can be a grown man in your 60s and they call you a boy. And that's unacceptable. And so my generation, for me specifically, I made sure that there was no misunderstanding that I was a man.
Okay.
And determined.
Determined.
And I was unapologetic about my determination, my aspiration, and just who I am, my self-esteem, and that's what we need to be proud of being a black man.
Right.
You know?
So determination, your aspirations, and being proud of who you really are.
Yes.
Not afraid.
Right.
We can't go back. We got to
No.
go forward.
But as black men, we need to unite.
Unite. Okay.
We need to unite.
Okay.
And we need to unite representing the strong black men we are, because our young men need us right now.
They sure do.
There's so many of us who are missing.
Right.
And that's why these young men are trying to find their way. And when you're trying to find your way, sometimes you run into a pitfall.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that guide.
Right.
So us as men need to mentor
I like
our
that.
young.
I
So
like
that's
that.
what we need to get back to.
I like that. Our previous guest we had was Carlos.
Oh, my brother Carlos.
Yes, and he has a mentoring program as well.
does,
And
he
so I know
does.
that you mentor as well. And I think that's like you said, that's vital that our young boys see that. And so with that being said, we had the challenges, but I want you to just tell us now about the biggest accomplishment that you've accomplished so far. What is the grandeur, the accomplishment that you can say, I've accomplished this?
Wow. Other than my children,
Yeah.
I'm working. I think that's my motivation. That's what keeps me going, because I don't feel as though I've accomplished that big thing.
His accomplishment, let me just tell y'all, his accomplishment is helping others believe in themselves. Me
Okay.
included, yours truly. It's not that I did not believe in who I was or what I can be, but he taught me to really, reinforced to me rather, because mom and daddy taught me, and my grandma, but he reinforced me to stand for what you believe in. Stand in your cause, stand in your purpose, stand in your, not necessarily passion, but stand in your purpose for what you are really designed to do, which birth what the guest room.
Well, you know what? I want to say this, and because I think it's really relevant to us, what this topic right here. D,
Yes.
you have always been amazing, but sometimes we don't recognize how amazing we are until someone confirms it.
Right.
And I
You're
think
right.
that's what you needed. You need confirmation.
Yeah.
You are amazing. You're the most humblest person I've met. And watch you evolve into this beautiful co-host, a school board member. You know, some people, as they rise, they become disconnected with their roots. You have never been disconnected from your roots.
Thank
And you've
you.
embraced everyone to come with you. So you are simply amazing. You always have been amazing, and you will continue to be amazing.
And see, I like that, but I want to be like a bulldog too, like Drew. So I want to just let you all know that we have enjoyed this segment, this episode here with Drew Andrews, and we just learned so much about him and the stamina that he has for our community. And I want you all to know that you can accomplish whatever you want to be. Stand true to who you are, as Drew said. Remember who you are, and remember the cause of what you're fighting for. So again, I am Dr. D with our guest, Drew Andrews, here in the guest room, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of the guest room. Bye. Hello, everyone. It's Dr. D again, and I want to just come in and tell you this really quick. Did you know that I am an author? Yes, I am. I'm an author of 2 books, Cage in a Cubicle, Spiritual Lessons, and It's Time to Own Your Truth. But our first book here, Cage in a Cubicle, Spiritual Lessons, came as a result of me working in corporate America. And with that being said, it also came as of me writing in my journal as well as my dissertation. And I couldn't believe it that I was actually living what I was writing, in a sense, in my dissertation, that is. And so here it is, it's coming now to fruition as of now writing a book. Who would have ever thought that I would be writing a book about my experiences in a cage cubicle? And every now and then, I thought the cage cubicle was there to hurt me, but in essence, it was there to protect me, and it gave me some life lessons as spiritual lessons as well. And so I want you all to be able to tune into this book. Read this book. It's really good because it can help you on so many different levels. How you can purchase this book is go to Amazon.com. The book is sold there. Hey, just help a sister out, and I look forward to being able to answer any questions you may have. Just drop me a note in the chat, and I look forward to connecting with you. Talk soon.